So you're all good on your cameras over there on, yeah. All right. Welcome back to Everything from Nothing. Sorry about the last episode where everything started falling down the whole set. We still haven't fixed that up because
we're saving up for blue tack.
Yeah, we're saving up for blue tack, and so it'll be fixed in the next episode.
For a grant for blue tack.
Yeah, if anyone can, if you can sponsor us blue tack at patreon.com/Ireland's podcast.
Did you eat all the blue tack?
It could have, yeah. I thought it was chewing gum.
Yeah, you do get confused.
Yeah, if you also want to listen, if you're watching on YouTube and you want to listen, you can do that at Spotify. We're on Spotify, and if you're listening on Spotify, like we have a Belgian following, and Spotify is really weird. If any Belgian people want to watch us, we're also on YouTube, youtube.com/everything from nothing.
It's in Canada as well. And
we have a couple in Canada listening.
Yeah, in the Yukon, yeah.
Yeah, and we're trying to get Argentinians listening, so that's our goal, like, is to be the most watched podcast in Argentina. I think we can do it.
So if anyone knows any Argentinians, is what you're saying.
Yeah, share this with them.
Yeah.
So today's guest is Melvin Brennan, and one question I want to ask you, Melvin, is: are you the first vegetarian in Thurles?
I doubt it.
Really? I think there's only 3 vegetarians.
I wasn't in Thurles at the time when I was becoming a vegetarian.
Me, you and Owen are in this room, and I think we're actually the only 3 vegetarians in Thurles.
Are you all vegetarians?
Yeah. You're the only one actually in the room that's not.
I'm just not from Thurles, so.
But like...
We're going to eat you.
Yeah.
Is this an intervention, is it?
Yeah. You have to cut down on the ration.
Vegetarians attack.
When you became vegetarian? It's like one of those questions that everybody should know. Where were you when you became a vegetarian?
Yeah.
Oh, where was I? Well, I was living in Dublin at that stage.
Oh, you see.
Okay. Yeah. See, the city. Did people
long after I moved from Thurles, I suppose.
When you came back, where it was everyone like, oh, that's what happened when you went to the city. Like, you came back. Yeah.
Would your father give you a steak or anything like that to try and tempt you back?
I'd try and slip on into.
Yeah.
No.
That's funny. Yeah, but was it? Because I remember I only found out when, I don't know, we were getting this couple of years ago or whatever. I met you in the shipper and you were getting vegetarian pizza. I remember just thinking, like, I don't know, yeah, because like it's still really hard to be a vegetarian in Thurles now. It's definitely getting easier, even in only the last 2 years. Like, I don't know, when you did come back to Thurles, was it really, like, I don't know, how did you eat food? Because I think Thurles only heard about chickpeas recently. Like, I feel like
there's loads of grass.
It's just chips and sausages. Yeah, there's grass.
Well, the Tesco and Thurles, or the Super Value in Thurles, is the same as the one in Dublin, I suppose.
No, but yeah. Well, was it? I just feel like even like I know
going into all your health food shops and.
Yeah.
Did you feel better after you became a vegetarian? Did you health-wise or no?
I didn't really notice a whole lot of difference, but.
Why did you become just you didn't like meat or?
Well, a lot of people at that time. I was around 1998, 99 BSE and that.
What was it?
Not a reason, but I had worked in Valley for
mad cow disease.
Mad
cow
disease.
And
still happens in cattle, but it's a lot less.
I know.
Still our numbers of it.
I was in England when that happened, and I remember like they kept talking about beef and mad cow disease, and it just the whole thing made me hungry. I never had so much beef in my life.
Creutzfeldt-Jakob syndrome.
John Bull has mad cow disease. I think that was the one of the jokes.
Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. Creutzfeldt-Jakob syndrome. Yeah.
What's that? Is the name of yogurt?
CJD. It's the mad cow disease.
Oh, Jesus! Can people get that?
I think a lot of people stopped eating meat at that stage, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think eventually just gave up everything. Then went traveling to countries like India and Nepal and those.
Oh wait, did you? I didn't know that.
Thousands and millions of vegetarians and vegans. And
it's nearly hard not to be a vegetarian in a place like that. Like,
well, the cow is sacred in those countries.
Yeah. Oh, I saw.
And the food is really, really good. Like vegetarian food is so tasty. Like in Asia and India and stuff. Like.
Yeah, well, you get to explore food a lot more, I suppose. When you
were you up by Nepal, like by the were you near like Everest or that area? What is the town?
We didn't go now Everest direction. No, it was more Kathmandu, Pokhara.
Yeah.
Didn't do any mad treks or that.
Yeah.
We were there for.
What year was that roughly? Like around?
That was 2000.
Oh right. And was that the first place you went like abroad outside of Ireland?
No, I had been on like holiday before.
I know, but like, was it in terms of like a massive culture shock? Like, if you go to England, like it's not. You may as well be still in Ireland in a sense, but
yeah, it was completely like new world.
That's mad.
I fly into New Delhi and you get out of the airport and there's cows on the.
No Mona Lisa chipper.
Cows on the
like
runway.
1 a.m, cows on the runway.
That's so mad.
Yeah, you're arriving into this completely new, different culture.
Yeah.
I think they're even in a different time. They're probably a different year. I remember in
Yeah.
Nepal, this guy showed us his driver's license or passport, and they were, what was it? We were year 2000, and his passport was, or his driver's license was the year 2057, I think.
Wow.
So
2057. What the hell? That's so mad.
difference.
That's so confusing. Fuck.
No, they're calendars, and you know when you're there, it's.
Yeah.
I think you're in 2057, but
Feels
Yeah.
really
for some
futuristic.
reason,
yeah.
so in Nepal at the moment, it's what it's 2079.
Jesus.
or 2070.
And the world hasn't ended, like, so, like, you know, at least we know that in 2079 everything will be okay.
Future is
It's
looking
like-
good
What
then,
did
yeah.
you go over there for? Was it just holiday or like travel or like what was the motivation?
At the time, hemp textiles
Oh, wow.
and
Oh,
travel.
whoa.
Yeah.
Traveling, but we were going to Nepal to
You were in
visit-
hemp. Is that hemp? No.
You, so
visit
you,
hemp textile producers,
yeah, you have your own,
cottage industry type manufacturer.
you do your own t-shirt company,
we-
so, like, was that were you doing that then, like?
No, that was much before that.
Okay, all right.
I suppose more traveling, and we were also my girlfriend Jane at the time, she was a fashion designer
Oh,
and
okay.
was working with this Tibetan guy in Nepal who was a textile producer.
Okay, all right.
They lived in a camp. Basically, they fled Tibet when he was 4 years of age through the Himalayas,
Yeah.
and the Nepalese and the Indians provided refuge
Yeah.
to Tibetans, and they had been there since maybe the 60s. This man would have been in his 40s probably at that stage, and he had just his own business, cottage industry.
Cool.
Cottage industry is, say, people up in the hills would have been growing the hemp.
Yeah.
They'd bring it down to they were in a refugee camp area. Well, there's proper structures, homes and that. They'd been there so long they would have earned a living and built proper structures for themselves. But he was providing basically cottage industry and income to people in the hills who were growing hemp. And they'd bring it down raw, weigh
Yeah.
it, basically scales. It's
Yeah.
like what you'd see in Ireland 150 years ago with the linen industry. And
That's what. When
everybody would have had small plots. We're going back 200 years or more.
Yeah. When I started like looking into like loads of different stuff with t-shirts and stuff like that, I remember I don't know, I would think to see if anyone knew anything about like the status, and Frank Malloy, I think he might be over there now, or was anyway, but he messaged me and was basically saying like, yeah, when he was just saying like, you know, there's all these sort of companies you'll come across and stuff that are like based over in places like that, but he was saying like, he said realistically you should be going over there like and investigating those warehouses because of how much sort of like you know, like sort of what's the word, like it's slave labor, but like it's like it may as well be because it's like paid next to nothing, like
Yeah.
and like it's a mad like how much in the clothing industry still is there's a lot of that going on, like, and people are
unfair work practices is
Yeah.
huge prevalent in the.
like all the
fashion industry.
clothes and pennies like is literally from that, like, and
It has been cleaned up a lot in recent years.
I think
but
so, yeah.
there are specific accreditation labels, just fair trade.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of, depending on what countries cotton is coming from. You're talking Uzbekistan and countries like that where
Yeah.
cotton can be coming from, and those countries are.
Yeah. That's so mad. Hey, would you
depends.
you have Melvin is like the admin, would you say, of the Féile Archive and all those pages that like
Yeah.
thousands of people in it, like, I don't know, God, at least half the country must have seen, like, at least I'd say nearly the whole country must have seen at least one photo posted from that page, which is like the Féile is an old festival that was in Ireland, which the sort of a version of it was like revived recently. Do you think I feel like part of that was because of like you creating the Féile Archive, which is basically posting constantly, like going digging deep for like all these old photos and stuff like that. And I feel like that's why there was such a mad, like that the festival sort of came back, because I think you were the only person really keeping it alive in the psyche. I know everyone's like, yeah, do you remember the Féile and stuff like that, but that was always going to be a thing. But in terms of like I don't know what motivated you to like sort of want to go and dig all this out and share it and make sure it's sort of stayed alive. And
Well, I'd have to give credit first to my uncle Melvin Brennan.
yeah,
Jim Troy also and Wally Cassidy. They were the ones that had taken
the photos.
all the photos. Eamon would have been sharing various photos and he's put that down the years.
Yeah.
And it was 2015. It had been 25 years since the first Féile, so just kind of had it in my head. Let's do something.
Yeah.
So I set up a Facebook page. Well, no, first I contacted Sully, David Sullivan, and a couple of others just to see. I was living in Wexford at that stage.
Yeah, that's why I thought.
Still up and down to Dublin, a good lot. And yeah, just seeing all those photos between AIM and contacted David and a few of the guys and just see what could we do to mark this occasion.
Yeah.
And August bank holiday had been, that was around June 2015.
Yeah.
And they just came back and said, yeah, let's organise something. So in the space of 5 weeks, we had maybe 2-day, all bands, 12, 14 bands or something, 2-day event in Hickey's to mark it then. And I just set up a Facebook page. I working in social media, I suppose I had set up.
Yeah.
Or working doing Facebook page for the Cobblestone and pub like that.
Yeah.
And that was just a general interest, and then just built a page from Eamon's photos, and they gathered traction from all its shares. I think at one stage one of the Rubber Bandits might have shared it.
Definitely,
There's
all sorts of mad people
on Facebook one weekend, and it just took off. Kind of,
it
had taken off before that. But once they shared it on their Facebook, and it was just looking one day it exploded all your data and stats, and it had gone up to like,
so mad.
This has been viewed by 3 million or 4 million people or
Were you
something.
surprised by that?
Kind of knew you had something there then. Like, pardon?
Were you surprised by that?
I wasn't surprised. No, well, like they had such a massive reach, so I was going to get that. I would have thought it would have, it had a huge reach anyway. It was like 400, 600,000 people sharing a folder.
Wow.
That's quite big reach. You can see all the data in behind it.
Yeah.
But yeah, generally built from there. The photos, as I say, you're pulling on people's nostalgic heartstrings.
Yeah.
People like to see old photos. With those photos, Eamon probably didn't even go up to the stadium, up to the festival once.
No, it's just in the square.
In the square, going around the streets.
It's so good.
That's Eamon's interest, is people, the faces.
Did
Wally Cassidy would have been the same. Wally be a urban kind of punk photographer. He would embedded himself in the Dublin punk scene and kind of street scene and protest scene and that going back 30 years more.
Yeah.
So he came to Féile, I think 91, and his photos are all the black and white ones. You just see they're just complete carnage. Like,
that's so mad.
How many years did the Féile run for?
In Thurles it went from 90 to 94.
Okay.
So we had it 5.
And what happened then?
5 big events in Thurles.
So like a Féile, like I mean most.
Then it went to Cork for a year, and then it went. They tried it in Dublin in '96 in the Pint.
It was pointless, wasn't it?
It was pointless. It sure was.
And then
they brought it back to Thurles in '97 for a 1 day.
I remember that.
And it didn't.
Oh, did they? 97? I didn't know that.
They had like Manic Street Preachers and Prodigy and Kula Shaker.
Oh, right.
Prodigy had played. That was like their 4th time playing at Féile or something at that stage. I was up in Dublin, gone wild at that stage. I don't think even came down to Thurles for that. Weren't serving alcohol in the stadium.
Why did they move it around?
It's gone very sanitised.
Like, was it set up? Was it a kind of event that was set up to move around Ireland? Or
No, the original event was Michael Lowry, local TD.
Yeah, him and MCD.
Only from Michael Lowry.
Yeah.
No Féile.
Yeah, it's mad. It's mad.
Credit Michael Lowry with basically inventing your 3-day festival in Thurles.
Yeah.
Outside of a flak-yole, of course.
Yeah. It is mad. Like,
Sheemsa Cushley was another
Sheems and Liston Varna and a couple of them, but there was nothing like
one.
it was all very
Meatloaf
much.
and Thurles on
yeah.
Friday night in
Did
Semple
you-
Stadium.
Yeah, exactly. Did you hear that Sheemsa was, the start of it was Sheemsa coming up to Thurles? Did you hear that story? No.
Oh no! Well, the start of it was we had the 1984 All Ireland.
Yeah, and we had to pay the debt of that. Your man,
I would have been at that match. That was
So
my
was it.
first All Ireland.
No,
Pierce,
right.
what's your man Duggan out in?
Pierce Duggan.
Yeah. And he
Passed away there last
He
year.
did, he started talking to your man Oliver Barry, but in Cork about getting Sheemsa Cushley up to Thurles.
Okay, right.
And then I don't know what happened. Then there was money differences or something like that, and then it changed to MCD. And
The initial was with Féile. Initially, it was the debt that had accrued.
that's it from that show.
From 1984.
Yeah,
I think there was £1.5 million at that stage,
to do up
which
the
is
stadium. Yeah,
massive money.
That's so mad.
And the word was that the stadium could have even been, sold aside and just turned into housing.
No way, was that Jesus?
Yeah, there was. That was word.
That would have messed
time.
the town. Jesus.
'Cause that would have been the way to pay back the debt, just sell the stadium.
Oh man, like what Thurles would be the most notting town if that happened. Like Jesus.
So that was Michael Lowry had been chairman of the Tipperary County Board.
Yeah, he became chairman then after your man Duggan left, or what was his plan?
And there's also we won the All Ireland in 1989.
So I think then there was
We made a documentary about this. When we were doing the Féile, when the Féile returned their Féile Classical and that.
Yeah.
RT were onto us and a couple
started
of other.
about really doing up the stadium. Was
it was to raise the money to do at the stadium.
Well,
no, the stadium was done.
It was
It was
more
done.
about just
Payback.
repaying the debt.
Okay.
Repaying the debt. That happens
Yeah.
when sometimes that happens in World Cup and Olympics.
Yeah.
And you go back to cities where the Olympics was and everything's just lying there in ruin.
Yeah.
The likes of
So mad.
where. So that could have happened. That was basically the.
But I think it
trajectory
wouldn't
that
have been-
Semple Stadium was.
I don't think it would have been as good if it was. I know, I'm sure your Oliver Barry and all that would have done good things as well, but I think it was different.
I
The
can
fact,
imagine GA, the money buys would have come in somewhere as well.
exactly, yeah. But I think the fact that it was that you had that change of dancing partners between Oliver Barry and MCD, that it
He was a big promoter. Oliver Barry was.
he was a promoter doing something like this in Cork, but not as it was different.
Yeah.
And he was.
More folk.
I think your man Pierce. Exactly. Yeah, that was it. Yeah. So
that was at the time they were your big acts.
That was
talking mid '80s, like.
And there was a touch of that in the first year, the '90s. There was some kind of Christy Moore, and there was Mary Black and stuff.
Yeah, which was great.
So they instead of calling it Sheemsa, then they changed it to Féile.
Yeah. Well, there was you had
Féile and the Gael as well. Yeah.
Well, you had in 1989 Tipperary won the All Ireland final.
Yeah.
And they had Joe Dolan came back. They had Joe Dolan up in the stadium, and they decided to charge £5 into that.
I remember that.
To generate a few euro.
There was war.
And there was a conversation after that.
What was Joe doing? Just having an old.
Well, Tipperary was the homecoming for All Ireland. Tipperary after winning the match. Before that, they would have had homecomings down in Liberty Square.
Yeah.
Would have been on the square, so probably in the stadium as well. But I remember them being. Well, we wouldn't have been having homecomings.
Well, I remember we had the kind of runner-up year. I remember in '88,
18 years or something,
and it was down the square. They'd lost the All Ireland final.
Yeah, it was
against
probably
Galway.
the Munster or something.
Galway.
Yeah, Joe Dolan came. They charged into it, and then they had an old bit of a brainwave. Hey, we can charge into Semple Stadium for concerts. That would have been the first.
Yeah,
it was a homecoming,
so
but it was
funny.
the first kind of a musician in Semple Stadium, and let's charge money.
Yeah,
and a year later they had. Was it 23 bands, maybe the first one.
Brilliant.
And out of that,
who played at the first one?
Only about 3 or 4 of the bands that weren't from Ireland.
Well, there was
Hot House Flowers.
Mary Black,
Four
wasn't she?
Mary
Saw Doctors
Black,
were at the first
Maria
one.
McKee, Saw Doctors.
Luca Bloom, was he at the first one?
Luca Bloom, maybe, yeah.
It was big even from the first one.
Meatloaf, was it Meatloaf?
Meatloaf, yeah.
Meatloaf was the big.
I've seen Meatloaf at
Oh,
Reading Festival,
Meatloaf was the big ticket.
Yeah. But there was a touch of, I think 91 is where it changed into its own identity or something, really.
91, you had more of your UK acts coming over.
Spiral Carpets, wasn't it? And
Really?
All your
Laz.
Oh, yeah, you had all the top indie bands at the time.
Like
Well, Féile was
Indie.
big as
any other festival.
festival in Europe at the time, like from 91 to 94.
It was mental.
It was on MTV every
Like
yeah.
the whole
Summer
the whole
and-
town would be full of people sleeping around the place. What's the
You
most?
had Levi's were doing the official
remember that,
T-shirts.
yeah,
Coca-Cola were up there. It was proper.
I still have one
Yeah.
of those T-shirts.
It
What's the most disgusting story you know from the Féile? Was a horrible story that you shouldn't ever say in the podcast. Like not one that anyone you know, but like just like what's the maddest thing you've heard that's happened? Something so mad that really we shouldn't be talking about it on the podcast, but it's like fuck it.
Okay.
Like, because the thing was, there was people were sleeping on the streets, and if people check out the Féile Archive page, which most people already know, but like, just
But a lot of
people
those photos were taken at 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock in the morning.
Exactly.
After people were after having a good night. And
no, for sure.
they were probably trying to get to their tent and
But
lay
like,
down here. And that was the welcome. And like they say, like the Thurles's motto is Flag Asfalta, which is a banquet and a welcome. And
yeah,
certainly provided
Where were the
that.
tents? Like, where were people camping?
Gardens.
Thurles Racecourse.
yeah.
That's your big
Okay.
But just
houses
people,
there, but also people's back garden.
Commons
Yeah.
and stuff.
people were renting, selling cheese sandwiches out of all their houses, like letting people
Windows.
stay in the garden.
Oh,
You
I
had
knew you
tents
loved a
there,
cheese
like
sandwich the next
some of the
day.
gardens.
Yeah.
You're like the best cheese sandwich in the world.
You know, say the
Yeah.
gardens down in Sarsfield Street. I remember. I don't know.
Oh, I heard of it.
Yeah, the big gardens.
You know, there could have been 40 tents in the back of one house.
It was some
That's so
crack, wasn't it?
mad.
Like so Jimmy Coppinger, people like literally right across from the gates of the stadium, they would have had.
Yeah.
Everyone
All
was
the
making
years.
money. Like, we had Mickey Bowe on the podcast, and he was
Jimmy
telling us
Cotton.
like he used to like go back. They were making so much money. He said this on the podcast. They were making so much money in Bows that every day they were going down to the bank with black bags full of cash,
Imagine.
and they were bringing it down to the bank every day.
Who was
for
it?
3
Kieran
days.
taught me that there was a stage where they weren't bringing the drink off the truck; they were just selling it from the truck.
That's so mad. Yeah.
So why did it all stop? Because it was like, it sounds like a really good thing. Like,
There's
then
rumours
Did it
that-
go to fuck?
I heard a story about the two people being naked having sex in the Bishop's Garden. Is that true? And then he stopped it. Then
I think did Sully tell a story about that?
someone told me
somebody might
that
have told a story about
two
that.
people
about
were
somebody
caught having sex at the Bishop's Garden. He said,
well,
"Enough."
not where only were they
Go
having
home.
sex. That it could have been two men, I think maybe.
Oh God,
Or two women. I'm not too sure.
Jesus, that's fucking.
But
mad.
yeah, there was basically.
And the bishop decided to have a problem with that then.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
I
no,
don't know if
not-
he stopped it, but there's
not
rumors.
that,
Everyone
no.
always says it's rumors.
I don't
No,
know why.
you-
They say though, like a lot of these things have an arc anyway, don't they? That they, they kind of they go really well. And
They
then-
do, but it ended a bit too quick. Like
Yeah,
there was
that's a
obviously
really
stuff
short
went
time.
on. Like
Okay, I
there's-
don't know.
it wasn't. It didn't seem like a natural. Like
I'd say you'd have a lot of people to deal with though as
Well,
well.
culture was changing, I suppose, in the music as well. You had a lot of.
Mm.
There was a lot more drugs around. There's no denying that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Between the difference of 1990 and Meatloaf and all those to like 1993 to 94, and you have the Prodigy and you have
Yeah.
House of Pain.
1990.
Well,
was
none of
har-
those.
was
You know,
harmless.
it wasn't as much breaking through, but with your dance scene, and we were all involved in that. No problem
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
We
The nighttime rendezvous.
you had your change in music. Think change in scene. There was a lot more drugs coming through, which was definitely a worry for.
Do you remember, like
Parents.
every year, the same weekend, there used to be a bit of a hoolie in the town for the
But
mock
that could have been all control. You'd seen, basically you're talking a small town of 8,000 people,
Yeah.
and you have
Yeah.
between 60 and 80,000 people descending on it for 3 to 5 days of a party session every year.
And it's like, it's right in.
You could even see the cracks.
town.
Even the cracks were even appearing in Liberty Square by that stage.
Yeah.
Needed
because
to work
it's
over.
so close to the town. If you
But-
think like things like Reading and Glastonbury and stuff, they're out of the way a little bit. They're
Yeah.
not like right. smack
Yeah,
bang
like
in.
that's
No, that never really
Like-
happened anywhere else before to that big
Yeah.
in the world. Not that I'm aware
not in
of.
the town. No, not
Yeah,
not in town.
Anywhere in the world, I don't think there's a festival. Like you have
That's
like
why your electric picnics and oxygens and witnesses and all
Yeah.
those moved to big states and Punchestown and
yeah.
all those places. But we have big race course there. There was, it was just between the bishop being overzealous, between I think
He's having a
some
look.
business people probably were. Well, I don't know. Too many business people sick of it. There was a lot of money made.
Yeah.
For a small town, sugar factory had closed in 1989. People still lament that. You had a big festival that was coming, generating
Loads of money.
£8 million a year. Is probably what 25
Yeah.
25 million today.
Yeah.
Fabulous. I
You
don't
look
really
at
know
the
how
flag, you look at the flag Keol, you look at old videos and photos of the flag Keol.
in Thurles, yeah.
Well, in
Yeah,
Thurles
yeah,
or anywhere
anyway,
else,
yeah,
I go to all the flag Keols. Like flag Keol there's lads just stretchered out all over the place as well for a week.
And there's the Rory Gallagher Festival up in Donegal.
love
Sounds like good crack.
Rory Gallagher Festival is great, yeah.
Yeah,
You go up
that's
there
it
and you're
goes on.
camping down by the river. We were at the first one of those in
Went there about
around
5 times.
94 or
No
five,
way.
we're up there.
I
What's
imagine.
the
Magic
flag
mushrooms
Keol?
above and
No, yeah.
Rory Gallagher Festival.
Yeah, it
But
sounds
he's
like
saying-
there's all. That's what the kind of crowd it
Gallagher,
has.
the
It sounds
guitar
like.
player, like basically just a festival in his honor kind of thing. It's really good. It actually feels like the Féile.
Yeah.
There were people playing out in the street.
Yeah, it was a town where Rory Gallagher was born.
Yeah.
What's it called again?
Ballyshannon.
Ballyshannon,
Up in
yeah. He was
Donegal.
born in a hospital called the Rock or something, was it?
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
That's so mad. Yeah, my godfather's buried right beside him down in Cork, and like his grave
Right.
is really cool. It's like there's like all guitar stocks sticking out of it and everything. It's really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure why did he like. Why was he? I don't know. Maybe it's like some tribute, or something. Like, what was his connection with Cork? I'm not sure. I can't remember now. Oh, he moved.
Lived in Cork.
Oh
yeah.
right, okay.
Lived in Cork. I think he might have spent time in Belfast as well. And he played a lot of gigs in Belfast when
He's in a show band, doesn't he?
A lot of musicians wouldn't go up there and play.
Did he start off in a show band or something?
Well, they weren't really a show band,
right.
but yeah, they were
Yeah.
powered a taste.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Would have been rock and roll, but
Oh, before Taste, though, wasn't there a kind of a more...
there could have
Yeah,
been
yeah,
something
there was
back
a show
before when he
band,
was a
yeah.
young lad,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
when he
yeah.
was 15 or something.
He was on the
like
road,
that, or-
like, with some
Oh yeah.
fucking show band or something.
I think with the Féile thing is mad. I think like I don't know. Like obviously something went on because like because they didn't. It's not like they thought like okay, this is a bit too crazy. We have to stop it. It's like no, they
Sex,
tried to
drugs,
move.
and rock and roll, and the church.
But they tried to
didn't
move
like
it to
that.
Cork then. So it's obviously like Cork, the people, they obviously had like a sort of, do you know what I mean? It was obviously problems with
Well, it petered
the
out.
area.
Féile petered out, and then it became Witness, and it moved to Punchestown. It's still MCD. MCD still.
Yeah.
They just created a festival, same festival somewhere else in a big field
Yeah.
instead of a town, and we
Yeah,
lost that.
Yeah.
MCD didn't stop creating festivals.
No,
They just called it something
they're
else.
doing all right.
And went somewhere else. But like
Yeah.
people's like the Féile is if you're doing event management, you want to study the Féile as
Do you remember the flag going
Yeah.
at the same time in Tramore? Remember that?
what to do and what not to do.
Yeah.
Used to be, remember, a similar like to a Féile down in Tramore.
Yeah,
the
like down
flag.
in the race course.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like a one day kind of thing, was it? Or
Yeah.
No, I don't even think
Féile
the-
was
Brilliant.
unique.
It was.
The moment in time, it's stuck in time.
Yeah,
You
the
can't
pictures are amazing.
can never be repeated.
Yeah.
Like that whole like insurance will not allow it now.
I remember Jim
way.
Rowe's Circus Sideshow. Do you remember
And
that?
there's no more phone
Jim
boxes.
Rose Circus Sideshow. Yeah, one of the guys out of that
Yeah.
messaged the Féile page only there a couple of weeks ago, like
Oh,
shared
yeah.
a video and
There
stuff,
was-
and you go like the Féile pages had
We were like 12
Mad
or
reach.
13.
Yeah, I've
and
seen that.
like,
This
there's
guy-
English bands there, the likes of the Farm and stuff,
Oh,
were commenting
yeah,
on
yeah, remember
photos. and-
Yeah.
so like it's out there. All those bands remember being here. Those English bands.
Yeah.
They have fond memories of it, and
Yeah.
they
Do you know
like
why
looking
we
back
couldn't
at
bring it back?
posters and-
Because I think there's like, because they got rid of the telephone boxes, there'd be nowhere to sleep.
I should have mentioned as well.
I-
Sorry, with the Féile page when that started, Mick Gleeson, whose father Michael, I think, is it Michael as well? Would have up there on Mitchell Street. His father worked at Tipp Star for years.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I know the
Mick anyway. Mick works in
yeah.
journalism as well.
Yeah.
But Mick had a couple of just your Féile flyers and posters
Oh, lovely.
saved.
Yeah.
So he gave me those when I started the page. Literally, there you go, donated them.
That's so cool.
And also David O'Riordan, David Raymond's brother.
Yeah.
David, I think I met him getting off the bus one day in Dublin, or did he send me a message on Facebook? No, he said, I have a lot of old Féile posters and some flyers and that.
Yeah.
It'd be good for your page if you want to. And I said, Grant, should we get them scanned? But again, he just donated them, gave me them here to say you're doing it.
Yeah.
And he had like, you're talking your big billboard photos or your big billboard posters, size of it.
So mad.
They would have been screen printed posters as well.
Lovely,
That's so cool. Like,
Basically
That's
ended up with
amazing.
a collection of either a poster or a flyer or something out of a newspaper or
yeah.
from each year of Féile.
I
So you can share all those as well, and then you tag the bands and they're going to...
yeah.
So it's
Most-
all just
I wish, like I always say, like I wish, like I'd just be mad because, like, especially growing up in Thurles and just to think that kind of crack went on in the place that I walked around my whole life, but went on before. Like the best experience I've ever had in Thurles was being on mushrooms in the square, and the Christmas lights were nice because the Christmas lights in Thurles are much better on mushrooms, but they're not bad on their own. But I think that's my best experience at the square.
You had like at Féile, like when you think of the likes of bands like Cypress Hill and those were seemingly inside in Mackey's. You know, and guys
Such an incongruent image
walking
in
up
my
the square, you know,
Yeah.
you're talking to lads, and like, oh, sure, I was talking to one of the guys out at Cypress Hill walking up the square.
We met
Was he on mushrooms as well?
Yeah.
Well,
We
Some
met
of 'em.
Cypress Hill at the right of the stage. It was,
Did ya?
Yeah.
What the
It was
fuck,
like we always just hung out just to the right of the stage. I think it was there, Brago and I don't know, a few Niall Hackett and a few others and lads that were in school with. But I remember one of the lads kicked him in the ass, and he was like, I kicked Cypress Hill's ass, you know. But they came out talking to everybody after their thing. And the other one I remember really well is the Black Crows doing, you know, they were doing Hard to Handle or something. Was on the, and there was this elderly couple that looked like really gothic looking. And I reckon they were your man's parents that were singing.
No way.
The darkest things and all that kind of thing. But they were really old looking, but all dressed in black leather. And
like
you
you,
know.
had Michael Hutchins here,
yeah,
Really?
yeah,
like in excess,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But you had literally all
Mad
the top
people
bands you could
right
think
now.
of
In the
from
world.
1990 to 95
Minix,
were at the
yeah.
Féile,
Oh,
except
Simply
for
Duran Duran.
Pearl
Yeah,
Jam,
Simply Red.
Duran Duran.
all those. Duran Duran weren't here actually. Not all of them,
You
but
missed out.
not all of them. Likes of U2 and those didn't play. Sinead O'Connor at the stage. Pearl Jam didn't play.
Yeah,
Cranberries.
why didn't the biggest Irish
You had like In Excess here, and
In
Michael
Excess were
Hutchins.
massive.
Michael Hutchins was going out with Helena Christensen at that time, supermodel, and she was above in the stadium walking around. Like these guys set me up always there, just standing out in the field, like out in Tom Semple's field, we call it, with Helena Christensen, like.
So man,
They were all here, like.
And I liked that there was a mix of bands. So there was bands that were like kind of starting out or whatever, A House and them. They weren't that big, but they were all mixing, weren't they? Like
You had like Iggy Pop, and they knew they were coming to a small town.
Yeah, I've seen Iggy Pop as well at Reading.
They know they're coming to a small town.
They know
it's
it's
going like, right, I'm going to put on a performance.
Yeah. Because they probably thought it was funny. There's this mad, what's hurling like? And it's like it's in the hurling stadium. It's just like
Yeah,
a
like
GAA
there's a very funny video with Iggy Pop on YouTube about Féile, and he's just kind of like he's kind of talking like, I thought I was going to town with like loads of pixies playing whistles and the guy was like wild. He's just like
That's class. I was looking at that video. I didn't know that.
crazy, like.
That's really cool.
Yeah, you had, they're coming to a small town. They arrive into stadium with 50,000 people.
It must be
Going
mad. Do you know
absolutely
what?
wild.
Because like the first time I ever came into Thurles was like for work, and I wouldn't have been in Ireland for, I'd probably been here, I don't know, a couple of years, not even. And there's something really sort of old about Thurles. Like when you come in, I just remember seeing that wall of legends on the side of the pub as you kind
Barron's
of come in off
pub,
the motorway. And like everything just seemed like kind of so sort of medieval somehow, and just like
Well, it is a medieval town, I suppose.
yeah, and like even for me, like I'd be used to small towns in the UK, and I've travelled quite a lot and stuff. Even I was kind of like, whoa, this
small
like
town.
there's something different about
Yeah,
it.
it does have a nice.
And if you were one of those people coming in with that kind of experience, you're coming in from the States and much bigger places, you'd be like, what the fuck?
What is
you're
this?
being brought in a
Yeah.
tour bus or
It would have added to the whole insanity and madness of it, because it's not, it's not like you would expect from
like
a
you'd have
festival.
band driving into the square maybe on a Saturday morning at 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
A tour bus.
Yeah, that
And
must
you're
have been
driving
mad.
up through Liberty Square, and you just have thousands of people sitting around.
That's so.
It was
Manchester
mad on a Monday
bus.
morning for me and my Citroen C1.
Let alone back then.
I remember a Manchester bus in '91 pulling up in the square, and they all just getting out, like kind of with the, you could get the whole vibe of the
With the beanie
Happy
hats
Mondays
and
and spiral carpets kind of thing
Nice.
going on. And
You asked me there to
baggy
tell a mad
pants.
story of Féile, and definitely
Go on.
look and see why the likes of older people around town and the bishop and whatever else would have
Yes,
been,
this is
kind of
what-
like questioning, is this where we want to go?
This
We
is
go
where we
as a
want to
town,
go.
or is this where we want our youth? Well, you would have, like down in this, it's not a great story, but down in the swimming pool car park, before the source and all was there, the car park would have been, there would have been bands down there, I suppose, and that. But there was also people camping along the side of, up along the bandstand. Remember where the bandstand, there's trees up there. people camping up there. And then I think one Saturday, this was maybe 93, suddenly a big fight broke out.
Yeah.
These guys were after taking probably loads of acid and mad drugs.
All sorts, yeah.
And one of them was going around with like a mallet from pegging down your tent.
Yeah.
And started slapping a few people with that. And next thing, people started
Jesus.
scattering everywhere. It was kind of like, who was I there with? Probably there with Sean Harty and a couple of us. But yeah, people started scattering everywhere. There was a big wall was in behind the swimming pool at that stage. So you would have had to kind of get in or around that. Didn't know who these guys or where they were going. I think they might have hit, remember Patrick Campion?
Yeah, I remember Patrick, yeah.
Poor old Patrick. Poor lad had passed away. But he got an old slap, I remember at that stage.
Jesus.
But all the guard or reserves, or you would have had guarded.
Up on the roof of the First National, looking down.
No, they were snipers. Well, they were up there as well. Yeah. No, there was a lot of guards. The guards that would have been called in, say it would have been over in Templemore, they were all staying inside in the dorms in Mary Immaculate. Yeah. So you could see a lot of them coming running across the field.
Jesus.
They were obviously got an old call, and so you could see loads of them coming running across. This all happened in 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. It was over. Like
my granny lived in the square at the time.
But those guys were obviously out of it.
Yeah.
Got violent.
Yeah. Was that it? Did that happen in the last year?
That was the only literal incident in 5 years now that I could think of. That was like kind of.
Do you remember your man hanging out at the stand?
Kind of like that. Other than that, like it was literally.
Saw
nothing but people enjoying themselves and having a session.
Do you remember your man hanging out at the stand that you climbed out along the bars?
Yeah, he got dusted. Yeah,
I remember that.
Is there a
I'm
video
trying to find him on the Facebook page, but
I remember seeing he was one hand first and then the other hand, and
it's probably so I said he doesn't remember it was
bang,
him.
and then down onto those concrete flipping seats.
He fell. As long as it was better than landing on a few people.
Jesus
Christ. Probably didn't fall as when you go up there and have a look now, depending on how
you'd fall.
He would have come from. No, he'd gone out a bit.
Yeah, he did.
But maybe 20 feet out of that.
My granaunt lived next door to McKevitt's.
People are funny when
and she used to be like, she was 80 something or whatever. She used to be out like giving out to people. Like, you're very bold. Go in, and all that. We're like, oh no, she's gonna get killed. She'd be like out with her like her pearls and her permed hair. You're as bold. Go home.
That's right, good.
Do you think admonitions ever worked on anyone?
I think some of them learned. I am going
to listen to that woman and I'm going home.
Yeah, we're like, oh my God, the door's open. They're just going to walk in, like,
Oh man.
Well, you had that ad, or not that ad, that Jerry Ryan, that caller into Jerry Ryan.
Yeah, what was that?
That was just a caller into Jerry Ryan after the Féile one weekend.
It was like Sodom and Gomorrah. There was people literally having sex in the street.
What did Jerry say to that? 'Cause he'd be funny.
He said it sounds like a perfect weekend.
No way. Fair play to him.
Fornication.
Was it the Devil's Paradise or something?
That's gas. He's funny. He's a perfect person to get that type of phone call.
But you'd have as well, when you look back through the photos, when you put up the page, you'd have people finding relatives, brothers, sisters.
I know. I seen
that would have passed away.
Yeah,
that would have passed away since. So that was kind of like
that's really cool.
Right, this is
something mad there.
Like I've never really seen these photos because they've been sitting in all Fujifilm.
Someone slept in our ditch and left a Zippo lighter behind him, and I still have it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
his name is Alan Rainey. If you
so looking for Alan Rainey,
and you get your Zippo back, it's in Hugh's house. From 1990.
You still have it?
Melvin, did you get like a lot more from like doing the archives and stuff than you thought you would? Because it sounds like it did kind of evolve into sort of a bigger project, or you started to see a lot more elements that you could get from it that other people got from it.
There was definitely more, kind of. But well, no, I knew it was going to have a huge reach because you would have had like between 300,000 and 400,000 people maybe come to Thurles over those couple of years. So,
but did you get a lot more?
People are out there, and
like personally from doing it, like your own kind of like connection to the festival and to the town, and like all the like what people did to kind of put it together.
I suppose you're hearing more stories and more kind of
you became
exploring the history of it and more into that kind of side of it.
Yeah,
I would like to do a book and that kind of stuff. I suppose at some stage you could do a book for Cameo Care or whatever. Like that was, I haven't even mentioned Cameo Care. Like that was when we started up the Féile that weekend. The Féile Beag festival that we do. We're going to do that every weekend.
Yeah.
August weekend anyway, so like Sully said, should we raise some money for a charity, local
So what
charity?
is that, the Féile Beag?
Féile
Beag.
Beag, it's like a smaller festival.
Like Féile.
It's sort of a tribute festival that they do.
Okay.
And yeah.
I no speak Irish.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you just assume everyone knows what Beag is. Like, yeah.
Nope.
That's funny.
They do now.
That's funny.
But, so yeah, we've raised like Cameo Care, Cameo Care.
Yeah.
We've raised maybe €35,000 for them.
Very good.
That's brilliant.
After expenses. So
That's really cool. Like.
probably like in total,
Yeah.
the door over 50,000 in a couple of years.
Brilliant.
Well, I think
That's our main motivation.
That's really
That's
good.
what we get the most out of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Photos on the Féile page and all that, yeah, it's great. But
I had seen your name like loads before we met, like because like I just associated, like I started to before we met associate the Féile with you, and because of I'd obviously heard about the Féile or whatever, but I didn't really like it was just people talking about it. But like when I started seeing like posts by you and seeing the event, the Féile Beag and stuff like that, and then it was like I think there's many people that sort of, I don't know, I think most people in the town, like I think people, like everyone sort of remembers it, but I think you putting up all those photos was sort of like, holy shit, that's actually how mental it was. I think it was.
Yeah, sure. Barely even remember yourself, sure, like
Exactly,
when you're 18, 19, 16 going around.
It's a while back.
You're looking back through the old YouTube videos and the photos, they bring back what memories people might have, or
that's so mad.
Most people sure can't remember, like you're drunk for a whole weekend, like
just even you saying like some of the band names from that time, I like that is kind of sort of my era, and even then just the memories like coming back, you're kind of like, wow, oh my god, just even those little trigger words, never mind that like the photos and all this shit that comes from that. Actually,
like some of the best gigs up there would have been Madness and
Madness. I remember that. Yeah,
Madness in the rain up there.
Yeah, they climbed up the scaffolding thing and at the side.
Madness are brilliant.
Just absolutely mayhem up there.
It was,
and that Féile as well, because you had the kind of covering on the pitch wasn't the best. It was just
dirty old carpety thing. Yeah,
dirty old carpety thing. So you had people, poor old Tom Narkin got hop
up on the trampoline. Do you remember the pyramids?
Big tarpaulin kind of yoke on the ground to cover the field.
No way.
What the
hell?
But people would then get them.
Yeah, make a trampoline.
Like this is, you're talking insurance at festivals and stuff. People just get them then and throw people onto them and lift them up.
And they're like
so they're all up, flying up into the air.
They're like a big giant
and
slide
one day I think
as
poor
well.
Tom Narkin, they let him up, probably Rocky and the bass. Let him up and then let go of the yoke when he was coming back down.
Jesus Christ.
I can remember seeing some of those like at festivals, and when they're wet, they become like a big water slide.
Sure.
That would be quite good.
Like insurance just does not allow this stuff today. Like.
No, it definitely does not.
Do you remember the
pyramids?
Pyramids,
standing 20 on the bottom and goes at the top.
I remember
Order Malta were busy. I just left the Order Malta a few years ago.
What a lot of people actually don't know is that you can't build those pyramids unless you're on mushrooms.
Yeah, you need.
That's the prerequisite.
That's why the Egyptians and the Thurles people built their pyramids. That's how. If you want to know how the Egyptians actually built the pyramids, just talk to the people in Thurles from 1990.
Yeah, the crack during the day up there, and you had your. I think Thurles people still, when you go to a festival, they still kind of go to the back right of it, or the back right area of any stage.
That's so funny.
When you go to a festival now, you'll find
Thurles
people,
and it's from them. Then I think
it's still it's part of our psyche now.
Is that why? It's actually still from them. Like that's still to that day. That's where you find Thurles people.
We saw me up at the same spot.
Oh, that's
like
weird.
if ever I'm lost at a festival, and just go there and just shout Thurles.
Oh, lads, Thurles
back to the right of the sound and tech stage in the middle.
It is mental that Thurles like today, because like even when we go to festivals now, there's more people at Thurles, like in terms of ratio to town, like for each festival, like there's more people at Thurles like than any other town at these festivals, like because you have so many different groups that like go to festivals, and it's like a thing where like you'll walk around the festival and you will hear people shouting Thurles. So we started off like that was how we did it, because we knew there was always someone near Thurles, and we'd always, if we went to fight someone, no matter how big the festival was, and like Owen can attest to this, still goes on, like we just shout Thurles, and then but the problem was that worked so well, but then it actually became a thing, like a trend where everyone at festivals just shouts Thurles. So you shout Thurles now, it doesn't work anymore, because then some random fucking lad from Mullingar will go Thurles, because it's a thing now, and you go over and you're like, hey, and you're like, I don't know you, and then it's
Travels well.
yeah, all
I was
sorts
going
of
to
people.
say, then you'll have like the English accent going, Thurles.
Yeah. It became a thing, like the way it's become a thing at festivals, like the way it's like a chant, where people like shout, like I don't know, there's a few things that you'll hear, the shout, ollie, like that kind of crack. Thurles, that is now a thing at festivals, like, and loads of people like in the festival scene know about that, like, and it's really funny.
Well, we're famous for festivals.
I know, yeah, it's mad. It's like carried on, like, and it's still known as like people, the boys from Thurles. That's what, like, the thing. There's a chant that's like, what is it? The boys from Thurles. It's one of the lads from Galway made
Give
it
me a
up,
tea.
and it's like proper spread around. Like the lads from Thurles. He do you know the Roundstone Cowboy song? He sung a version of that about the lads from. This guy's from Galway, and he sung it about Thurles, and now it's like it's a thing at festivals where people sing that. It's really funny.
You'll have to get him to record it for the
we
for
will.
the podcast.
Yeah, we definitely should. That's there's
That can be your team tune.
there's even a guy, you know, Valley of Art Festival. There's a guy that was at it, Indian George. His name is George, and his name I don't know. He's Indian, yeah. And
He's Spanish.
he became so obsessed with the people from Thurles that, like, he was like going around festivals. Him and the guy that made the song were both competing, going around festivals asking people to vote for them to be the mayor of Thurles. You had an Indian guy and a guy from Galway, or he's from Cavan actually, who lived in Galway, but a guy from Cavan and a guy from India competing to be the mayor of Thurles at festivals all around Ireland. Like, went on 2 summers in a row. Like, it's really funny. But like Thurles, as in Thurles, still has its fucking presence. Still has its presence.
Reach.
Yeah, it's really funny. It's like
Good reach, yeah.
it's just built in.
Like that Féile back a couple of years ago, back to that page again. Young, I think she was over in America, and she tagged a friend of hers or whatever.
Yeah.
Said like, this is the festival that I've been named after, and her name was like Féile Dwyer or something.
Wow,
So her
okay.
parents
Whoa, I heard about that
obviously
actually.
moved over to America back in mid-90s or soon after.
Yeah, that's so mad.
And called her Féile, so
That's brilliant.
That's so mad.
probably
Féile baby.
loads of dogs out there called Féile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's loads
Yeah.
of Féile babies, that's a fact.
There's hey, we were loaded lads who were a few years older than me. We were at a party before.
That was one of the main reasons it stopped.
Definitely. And at once, like, all the lads, like, they did calculations in their head, and someone asked, so they're all like the same age, and they're all, I can't remember what month, but they're all born in the same month. And I seen the realization, there's about 20 of us, they're all trying to work out why, like, half of them were born in this month, and they were all like, because they're all, so what were the things? They're all from
April.
Thurles, they're all
April,
born,
lad.
yeah, they're all born in April in, like, at those years, whether 2 or 3 years, like, between,
Yeah.
and then they were like, someone was like, did you think it's a Féile? It's just like, and someone was like, yeah, my mother went to Féile. My parents went to Féile. They were like, they all had a realization they were all Féile babies. And then
Or any of them called the Bishop's Garden or anything, no?
Oh, yeah.
Jimmy Cottinger told me a funny one.
Well,
That he reckons between the years of the Féile and all the people camping out in the back, that there was around 40 Féile babies
made out the back of his
made
house.
out in their back garden alone.
I just like,
And you kind of asked him, how do you know that? And he says, well, they used to get Christmas cards off people, and they used to get invites to christenings, and you might get a card to say, oh, such and such a child is after
that's a weird one.
after
Invite.
getting married or something.
Yeah,
It's
they
not-
get like little landmark notifications for those
Yeah,
kids.
so
Yeah.
It's not the usual person
Like it
you
was
think
their
of
own
inviting.
progeny.
Like, I'm going to
And
invite the
with
person. that-
Jimmy's, I kind of, well, we could do it ourselves someday. We intend, do kind of podcasts like this, but do it with the likes of Jimmy Cottinger and
yeah.
more just a one-on-one kind of
Yeah,
a
yeah.
interview, get them down and
Yeah, yeah.
tell
That would
all
be
their
really cool.
stories of
That would be
Yeah.
Jimmy would have been
savage.
founder of Thurles, so one of the
Yeah.
founders of Thurles.
Oh, no way.
Jimmy fill a few hours fee.
That'd be cool, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, they'd have all wonderful stories. You get the likes of Jimmy and Paddy Lucknan.
Oh yeah, Paddy.
Yeah,
would be brilliant.
Paddy's
great stories, isn't he? History and all that.
Is Paddy? We had him for coaching. Is that the same Paddy Lucknan? He come to Skull Alva and do coaching.
he's-
No.
Is that?
Unless he's coaching you Kung Fu now or something. Or
Oh
Was he
right.
coaching you?
Yeah, hurling like.
Oh, I know, I wouldn't think so.
There's a guy Paddy Lucknan, I think, is
Paddy,
Or is it Paddy?
Paddy is
Or is
into
it
kind
Paddy
of
Moore?
history and
Yeah.
photography and stuff like that, isn't
That'd
he?
be local history.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I do know
Sure,
Paddy
Sure, we
Lucknan.
went to see him up in
No, yeah, I
Hippies,
do know
didn't
that
we?
Paddy
Yeah.
Lucknan. Sorry, I don't know. I think it's Paddy Moore. I think I'm getting names confused.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
You all need to change your names a bit more now.
That's
Yeah.
what I would have thought.
Paddy.
Change the names.
I've had an interest in history, but
Paddy is interesting.
between the Cobblestone and Dublin,
Yeah, he will be good. Sorry, yeah.
there was guys in the Cobblestone and Dublin. They have a local history project, Stony Batter and Smithfield History Project.
Yeah.
So that would have sparked my interest in, I suppose, your local history.
Mm.
I would have always
Yeah.
had an interest in your Republican history and whatnot. The
Yeah.
Hughes family
Yeah. Yeah.
basically sitting beside the IRA from the 1920s. No, you can edit that out.
You can say what you like, Eric.
But yeah, the guys up in Stony Bar, Stu and Finn Dwyer, who Finn actually has an Irish history podcast. It's huge.
All right.
It's a huge history
I only got
podcast.
into it in the lockdown, started reading up all the files of that. I love it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great. Like your family
Yeah.
history is. But the guys above in Dublin, they would have had a monthly kind of history talk. They'd get
I
somebody
love
in
all that
to-
kind of
they'd
shit
Get
like
somebody
this.
in to talk
Yeah.
about. It could be anything from Republican history to anything.
Yeah.
I got some stuff off you, actually. Yeah,
It
you
would have been a lot of it. It's
Yeah.
a local history project, so a lot of it would have been how Smithfield developed over years.
Yeah.
A lot of.
Yeah.
That sort
And
of
then a
stuff
good
is really
friend,
cool,
Noel,
though.
an old friend, Noel Hughes, who passed away there a couple of years ago. Noel would have been an old Dublin kind of. He was in the IRA and stuff, but he would have drank in the Cobblestone and got to know him down the years, and he would have always emphasised your local history.
I think it really helps connect people to their
yeah.
place and their
Yeah.
area and
Yeah.
stuff. There's so much stuff that people don't know.
That's what's going on in the background of the Féile page as well as your
Yeah.
and the Love Thurles page.
It makes people
And we're
feel
all
kind of proud
photos
of where they're from and like there's a bit
Definitely,
of
yeah.
character to where they live.
Yeah, and those Facebook pages as well. There's a lot of people from Thurles, Tipperary, wherever that are living in, particularly in the last. We're an immigration nation.
Mm.
Yeah.
You have people living over in the UK, wherever, and they love seeing all these photos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're the ones you see comments. Then they're the ones that will remember all the old shops,
Definitely.
who was cutting their hair and
Yeah.
where they worked and where there was piggery. The likes of Friar Street was just full of piggeries.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah, your local history is just as important as known.
I think
And
so.
that sharing of it
Information.
verbally is a lot more engaging than just like people reading like history textbooks and stuff like that.
Ah, yeah, cheers.
Yeah.
Most
I-
people don't want that. Like if you have somebody who was there, who knows about it, talking about it, it's far, far more
So
engaging and
actually really
anecdotal.
good for
and
Thurles history. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know everyone's families. Like, you know everything.
I
You're
thought you were
like,
talking about me.
hey,
Ah,
you know
no,
everyone's
Jesus.
Thurles.
I'm great with Thurles.
No, but you know, I don't
Certainly
know.
wouldn't
But
be.
what I'm saying is
know it.
between the two of you and Paddy Lucknan, I think there's not a thing that'd be missed. Like, because I don't know.
You'd have George Willoughby there now. Was
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yes.
George and is it Jimmy Duggan and a few of
Jimmy
those
Duggan is
guys.
brilliant, yeah, he
those
knows
lads
everything.
Yeah,
they'd really tell you the history of Thurles now.
that's really mad. I think
They can go right back into
God was a child.
who built the
God
castles
was a
now.
child.
And Jesus was a boy.
God from Thurles, is
He
it?
was originally, yeah.
Definitely.
Wow.
So God,
That's
of
a
course.
little
Leader
known
of
fact.
town.
A
Yeah.
little known
big-
fact.
The Big Bang started in Thurles. Like everything started.
Moved
in
here
Thurles.
first when he was a refugee of
Who? God.
God. Yeah.
Heaven.
He's a refugee.
Jesus' father.
He's a refugee from heaven, landed in Thurles. And there you go.
That's funny.
That's
Uh,
from
The
the
Hughes,
Bible.
Hughes family history. Like Hughes' namesake, his great grandfather,
Great-grandfather, yeah.
great grandfather,
Yeah.
Hugh Ryan,
Yeah.
Yeah.
was IRB, Irish Republican Brotherhood. You told me that he joined the IRB when IRB was a secret society.
Yeah.
Would have been Gaelic League and all that. But Hugh's grandfather joined the IRB when he was working in Stag's Head, you said, in a pub in Dublin.
Yeah. They moved down here and bought a pub.
Then back down to Tipp, pub.
Yeah.
Did he start the Undertakers and all?
Yeah.
The pub Undertakers.
Yeah.
Wine, Dine and Berry, as the man says above
all the good stuff.
The
above
80s,
McCarthy's
70s.
Wine, dine, and berry.
That's
What?
Yeah, exactly.
Wine, dine, and berry. That's right. The 3 essentials for fulfilling life.
But yeah, so they were involved in the IRB, which was Gaelic League, and they would have been
starting off the GAA.
Yeah, his grandfather, great grandfather, probably financed.
Yeah.
Fighting with priests, gunshots going over priests' heads down along the square, and there was that control between the GAA at the time was formation. You had that control between being just a sporting organisation and the Catholic trying to get its grip up, the church trying to get its grip over it as well.
That's so mad, like.
But yeah, he was, you're going back to.
They were
involved in the financing and organising of the first All-Ireland hurling final in Burr, 1887.
How do you think they would have felt about you studying in the UK, Hugh?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, that's all part of the IRB, you have to go over and
check them out.
Infiltrate.
Take them down from the inside.
They're still at it,
That's very good. I think we're going to finish up now.
Sorry, another news one while we're on Hugh. You were telling me that Eamon De Valera is buried in a Hugh Ryan coffin.
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah.
Jesus, that's a claim to
So that's where you're going back to,
That's mad.
Yeah, but the funny
that's
thing
mental.
Yeah, but somebody gave me a catalogue of the coffins lately.
That really
That's
creepy
mad.
coffin catalogue you have. Was it one of them?
Yes, the first page.
And on that note.
Well, I didn't. So I looked at that catalogue that your man gave me, right?
The Eamon De Valera.
Yeah, and I googled. And you can see it's the exact same,
Whoa. Which one did he pick?
Dave,
first page one.
Was it a cheap one?
Or
was it expensive?
Oh, I don't know.
Was it?
Yeah, we have a
top of the range
deep Republican history in Thurles.
Yeah, it's mad.
Dixie O'Connell.
Oh, yeah.
We sadly knocked down important buildings.
Yeah.
Only 100 years ago there, last week or the week before. Lawrence Hickey was shot, and Paddy Lucknan's
he was telling
granduncle.
I remember him talking about that at that talk. It was really interesting. He would be good to get on. Should definitely get
Paddy, and Paddy Slattery, Cormac's Town Heritage Centre.
Okay, right.
He'd be brilliant,
we'll finish up now anyway. Sound for coming on, Melvin. Nice conversation.
Thanks for having me. Eventually got me here.
I was going to say, thanks for watching on YouTube and listening on Spotify. If you are, I do not condone taking mushrooms in the square, but I do condone having a good time, so do it that way what you will, but not in the square. Definitely if not the Christmas lights aren't up.
Those shiitake mushrooms, your average portobello button mushroom.
Oh yeah, you can drink your bottle of kombucha away, okay, I know just a few pistachio nuts will probably do you fine. You can if you can have a good time with pistachio nuts, you can have a good time anywhere. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, sorry, see you next week, bye.